I'd like to recognize Michele Frehsee and Dan Zembreski. Thank you for coming. Point out our rules of procedure under the sign-in sheet and on the table here in case anybody has any questions about how this meeting is conducted. And to ask if there are any additions to the agenda. So I have two updates, an update and a communication to share, but I think those fall under general update and it's not a new or old business thing. So.
Yeah, and I have one that'll fall under updates as well.
Okay. The next order of business is to approve the minutes of the meeting of July 25th, 2016. Katie circulated those in our Dropbox board member file. Does anybody have any comments, additions, changes? Everything okay?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as Katie drafted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Gabby? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dick, I'm Troy, I didn't hear
They
you.
weren't here.
Well, wasn't
Oh,
here.
you guys weren't here?
Yeah.
Okay. You can't say anything. There you go. We have no old business on the agenda tonight, and for new business, we have Michele Frehsee, Chair of the Planning Commission, to give us an update. So you are invited.
Need to stand up.
You need to stand up and be visible and talk to everybody.
Okay. Couple quick things. We've really been discussing at the Planning Commission that we should come see you guys at least a few times a year to give you an update on what we're talking about. So that's the first part. As many of you know, we had an ice cream social on June 10th, and it was really well attended. We had near 100 people. I had 76 names on a sign-in sheet and several others. So we feel really good about that, and we had a lot of great feedback from that meeting. And the main thing that people decided that they would like to see is kind of a one-stop website was the end result. Different from the town website, but a website that can link together all of the other organizations in town that aren't just dealing with the political side of things. So we can have all the 501c3s represented, people that have individual businesses maybe can have links through there. So I did bring the notes that we created as a planning commission from our June 20th meeting. I don't need to go through all of them, but if you want to look at them, they're online, which details some of the feedback we had. In going forward with the communication aspect from that meeting, though, and developing the website, we have decided that the Planning Commission would like to spearhead the beginning of it. It's not something the Planning Commission plans on doing for years to come, but as a trial run and get people involved in it, we would like to be the ones to set it up and see if it works, on a trial run basis, give it a year. And we left the ice cream social with the understanding with the public that was there, they would like to get together again. We talked about a fall gathering, maybe doing cider and donuts or something that's related to fall in October. And so in order for us to stay in timeline with that, our hopes is to have an initial meeting with some leaders of a lot of different organizations. We've created a list. It's also on our last meeting agenda, our last minutes. We made a list of, I'd say, 20 plus organizations and heads that we'd like to invite to a just an informational meeting after we have created just a skeleton of a website to show them what it is and see if they would be interested in taking the time, because what it's going to involve is one person from each organization being willing to log on and keep it up to date. And that's where we'll see if it works or if it won't work, but it takes everybody doing it for it to be a successful endeavor. So with all of that in mind, first, I'm being pretty vague. Are there any questions that you guys have?
Michele, with the organizations you're talking about,
Yes.
are those internal Guilford organizations?
Everything is Guilford.
This is solely for Guilford.
The number one thing that people wanted was to be able to create a community calendar. And it's to try to reach those that don't get on the internet all of the time. We had some 90-year-old down people that don't have internet at home, and we did ask in that meeting if they would go to, say, the library or go to the Grange or one of the point places, and we could print the list so they don't have to be skilled with the internet. So it's to be able to create that community calendar is the bottom line. It would be one place that every organization that's represented would have a link back to their website, so you don't have to know all of those individuals, like in the town.
But it would be
Vice versa, if the town could have this website linked to it, and we could link to the town website, but to be able to hold more, and then that like front page calendar listing. It did get more in depth. Some people said they like push information, so that if someone new posts on it, they'll get an email and we can set it up so they can sign up for that, but not everybody would get that. And those are things down the road. Our initial thought is to create a very simple interface on the front with the calendar, and then it would have like a businesses, if people are in the businesses, and then organizations link, and so you click on the organizations and then you'd get all the organizations in Guilford. Then you can click on whoever you want to see what's going on.
This would be separate from the town website.
It's definitely
Totally
separate. I mean, there's lots of reasons for that, which we've gone over and questioned, and so we would be calling it the website Hello Guilford, super simple. And
Are you familiar with there is a website that I believe through the Grange and Don McLean, I think is the driver of it, that is out there. And it's my understanding and looking at it briefly that was the intent of that type of website. Have you talked to him at all?
that has like a blog on it. That's the Words. Is it Words Press Words?
Is it Guilford Online?
The Guilford
I think
Online.
it's Guilford Online something.
This is a little different than that, and being able to have it where all of the organizations can log on themselves and keep it up. There doesn't have to be someone that you submit things to, and more filled with photos, and just having like a Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if you've visited many Chamber of Commerce sites, but to give that this is what's going on in Guilford. You can mention the trail and have pictures of people walking the trail and have things that show why we love living in Guilford. So it's more than just an information place to go. I am aware of that. I know that not as many people, it didn't go very far. And so maybe, hopefully with something new, people will jump on, something easy to remember.
I have another.
Yes.
Is there any way of that morphing into a local quote unquote newspaper type of thing when so-and-so just went on vacation it's kind of complicated, I know, to do that, but we get no local news.
I think it can become whatever we want it to become. We want to get it started. We want to start with these groups and seeing if they're willing and seeing if they actually do go on and post by the 1st of every month, because it's not going to work if all the information doesn't stay updated. People won't use it. So then if we do see that that's happening, I think it can be anything. We can add tabs and grow it in any direction. It can have blog formats where you can go on and post those sorts of things. It all does raise other questions. It's things that we can figure out in time, though. So step one is procuring the site and creating a template, which is the end point of another reason why I'm here. Is the Planning Commission has done research on it, and we've found the company called Squarespace, and it's a very user-friendly. You don't have to know how to use computers, so that anybody in all these organizations is going to be able to simply log in. And the key thing about it is that you can have an unlimited number of contributors. So many of the other sites, you have to have one administrator and everything filters through that, and that's not what we're wanting to do. We don't want to create more work for one single person. So with that, I did bring the printout. It's $18 a month if done annually. And the Planning Commission, we have a budget and we're willing for it to come out of the budget. But I needed to and wanted to approach you, and how do you feel we should address that? Because we just want to sign up for 1 year and get it going, and then we can review 6 months down the road, so we know how to take the next year whether or not we continue. And if it is doing well, maybe we find someone outside the Planning Commission that helps keep it going. So
I would make a motion to support this.
I just want to ask a question. Who is responsible for the upkeep of the website, and whose name is this going under? Is it the town? Is it the Planning Commission?
That's what we need to figure out. Thayer Thompson, who was planning to be here tonight, ended up not being able to make it. She's she's very knowledgeable in this, and she's the secretary of the planning commission right now, and she's willing to get it set up. She was willing to put it in her name to get started if that's what we needed to do, but we need to ask you guys, how do you think we should approach this? It's because it's different than going to say getting a printing done or something and bringing you a receipt. This is a credit card online that someone's going to be tied to.
Are you going to have policies about how much people can post and what people can post? I mean, one of my concerns is that the town doesn't have a social media policy right now.
Right. That's why we don't want to do a
who's policing and
blog.
who's, I mean, my concern is if something is incorrect or someone gets left off or someone feels like they get left
Or
off.
insulting or,
Yeah, I mean, is
But
somebody...
there's not going to be a blog. It's only links to
It's just
the
a calendar?
organization's websites and a
And
calendar.
links?
So, I mean, that's why I said the blog gets tricky, and that's something we could do down the road if we felt like it was okay. But it's strictly going to be like a hub. One stop, you go, you don't have to know all these different groups, how to get to them. It's going to be on one website, you can reach everyone, and the calendar listings, and it's very simple to start.
If people have problems, who do they contact then? Like, who's
It's,
ultimately taking
gonna,
responsibility?
it's going to be the planning commission right now. So we will have our name on it for the first year. If it goes really well, I think it's a discussion we should have, because the planning commission changes all the time. It's not going to be something the planning commission should do for the next 20 years. But if it is something that we spearheaded and it takes off, I think we could have a point person either within the town or another volunteer somehow that structures it. We don't know yet. We just have had so much feedback with communication in town, and we're really trying to start there before we dive into the rest of the town plan. And this is what the feedback has led us to.
So I have another, so the planning commission this is an experiment for a year. It's mostly a calendar and notification of events and stuff like that. It is $18 a month, and, oh lordy, I just lost my question. I'll think of it. Sorry.
Out of the budget, out of the...
Yeah, no, I had another question, but it just went phew. So I'll try to think of it. But so I think, Dick, you were going to make a motion?
I did, yeah,
can I
to
have
support
another
this.
question though?
Sure.
Yeah.
How do you see this interacting with sites that are already up there, like Guilford, like Front Porch Forum, which people seem to really actively use versus, sort of like there's a calendar on the town's website that apparently, I guess people, well, I mean, organizations can post, but maybe isn't as interactive or user-friendly from what you're saying.
It just can't be as inclusive. And Front Porch Forum, you have to get it as it comes. You can go look at the calendar if you're savvy enough to go do that. It's really about just simplifying things so that people know they can go on, say, by the 5th of every month and know everything that's going on in town. I think those are all great avenues, and we should continue to encourage them because it's a great way for us to communicate. But this is to be able to help reach those people that aren't on the computer all the time too, and to be able to have something that's printed that we can hang in the same places that we do our minutes throughout town.
And it's inclusive to anyone who either has a business or lives in Guilford, is that the idea?
Yes, I mean, whomever shows interest, and we're not going to say no to someone if they want to have their link added and they're in Guilford, whether they're a business or an organization, and they're keeping it up to date. I think the ones that don't keep it up to date, like, we would have to talk about that, because it's the key is to make sure it's always up to date. Like I said, we were going to have this initial meeting, and we'll start with the core group of people, ask them if there's anyone else they know, and then put it out to the public in October and see how it grows.
And how are you going to get it? How are you going to let people know that it exists? How are you going to push it out to people? Just out of curiosity.
Multiple ways. I mean, once we do that, I definitely want to talk to the Reform and Commons about the fact that this is what we're doing. After the trial run has been established amongst a set group, say 20 organizations are on it, so we let 50 people know about it, see how it works for a month. In October, we'll have that gathering, and then also in November, the Gazette will come out right after that. So we will have had all those things, and then be able to put a nice long article in the Gazette, and hopefully with those things, we reach folks.
So I think the motion is to support
To
this
support their venture, yes.
experimental effort for a year,
Yep.
to the cost of $18 a month, and then to reevaluate in July of next year.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Gabby, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So,
Thank you.
last question with that then, so to get it started, if Thayer, say she's the one that purchases this, should she just print her receipts and bring that as something she can be
I think
reimbursed?
she can talk with Penny about reimbursement,
Is
but
that-
it will be in the minutes that this
Yeah, it's
expenditure has
approved.
been approved
Great,
on behalf of the planning commission, so.
great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
The next item is is there somebody here from the Guilford Fire Department Auxiliary, and all of these people were in the,
No.
no? Okay.
We're here for new business if it's an opportunity.
New business is supposed to be warned by last week. Are you all here about the traffic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay, so there will be an update on that, and I will invite you to contribute something at that point, okay? It's not new business, we're gonna update a little bit on our discussion of it last week. And you all signed in, and Herb, did you sign in?
I have.
Okay, I think the sign sheet over there is right in. So, the next item of business is that the Guilford Fire Department Auxiliary has a request for a boot drop. There'll be,
So we're not talking about the traffic?
not right now.
Not right now.
If you look at the agenda has a
Okay.
section for discussions and updates and communications. The highway's gonna be on the discussion and updates. I'm sorry, traffic.
The traffic.
The Guilford, they're holding the boot drop from 7:30 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. on Monday, September 5th. All participants will be wearing orange vests, and the area will be marked with signs and cones. So this is just a request for the boot drop. I do think that the select board has to vote this, has to
Yes.
make a motion.
Yes, we do.
So, does someone want to move?
I'd like to make the motion that we support the Guilford Fire Department Auxiliary during the boot drop during 9/5 from 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m.
Thank you. Second, Gordon, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Yeah.
So, we have on the agenda now is the Green River Covered Bridge project update. We have a couple things to talk about. We have circulated an email with the update of the discovery of rotted cords and the conditions with the roof. People have seen the communications in the newspaper and online and on Facebook. Did you put it on Facebook or
just
the,
an email out to the listserv.
it was on the Guilford Fire Department.
Front porch
Front Porch Forum, that this has put our schedule back by a month, I'm sorry. And it has caused us to go into needing a change order for about $24,000, which thankfully Katie had put into the budget, so we are still not going to be over budget on this, but this is, we acknowledge that this is a pretty serious burden on the people on the other side of the bridge. And do you want to talk about the plans for the school and what's going on there?
Katie is
Can
arranging
you
to
wait
meet
just a minute, Dick, please?
with this.
Could you wait a minute,
Oh,
please?
okay.
Sorry.
So Katie is arranging to meet with, I believe, school representatives so that we can have a plan. We can open up the bridge for the children to get across the bridge with probably some sort of parent or teacher supervising is the idea. But we haven't finalized that with the school. But the idea is to allow the bridge construction will stop so that kids can go and meet the school bus and then return home. And as soon as we actually have final plans, we'll announce that and let everyone know.
Sorry,
You
Dick.
said not over budget, we're over budget, but there's 20% contingency figured into the budget, so technically we
So,
are over the budget.
We have,
Correct.
that is correct.
And I guess I would just like to update also, Katie and I received an email this morning from Noella Sullivan, who lives on Jelly Mill Road, expressing she was distressed about the bridge work being extended, that it did put an extreme burden on people who lived on that side of the bridge, and asked for pedestrian access to try to alleviate that, help alleviate some of the hardships. I told her that you know, I am one of those people who unfortunately is affected. You know, I commute to work every day. It really sucks. It takes up a lot of extra time and a lot of extra money, and I know it's a hardship, particularly for people who maybe, for example, are making minimum wage or need to get to the food pantry, which is indeed on the other side of the bridge. So I think I just, you know, express that we are all understanding of that we sympathize with that. But we can't let people walk across the bridge during construction for liability, for their own safety, as well as for OSHA concerns. So, you know, we are open to hearing other options and entertaining options. And
Suggestions
anything
from the public.
Yeah, anything that's, you know, anything, you know, if there is anything that we indeed can safely and legally do, we're willing to think about that.
You've seen that orange tape just below the bridge, and it might not still be there, but last year there was a possibility of putting a footbridge across there. It's about 100 feet, 150 feet down from the bridge.
Are you talking on Michael Knapp's property?
It might not be on his, it might be on, it's where the proposal for the quote-unquote new bridge, if it ever happened, went. And there's some orange tape around the tree where it was down on the river road. And the freshwater guy last year said you could put a footbridge across there.
I don't know anything about that. I'll tell you, you're talking downstream?
Downstream.
The issues is it's private property, it's wetlands, there's stream permits, and it's not ADA accessible. I don't think the town's liability carrier, you know, insurance carrier would cover it, and those are all the problems.
That was the issue that came up. The stream thing is cleared with the state.
No, I mean, not to put a new footbridge in.
Yes, it was. Yeah. But he's gone now. Todd is wearing them down. Todd Benitez is the one that.
He's the head of the.
That's,
He-
yeah, I mean, to
he
my
got
understanding,
one
we never got a permit because we never.
We
really
never
had-
went anywhere with it because of what you just stated, but I mean, if it becomes something, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibility, let's put it that way.
I think it is. I think legally it is,
It's
and
legally-
insurance-wise it is. And you're putting a bridge on private property, which we can't do because the town doesn't own any property down there. So I think it actually is out of the realm of possibilities, unfortunately. I mean, and I know that's also conserved land. There's wetland issues. I mean, there's a number of conservation and environmental issues also to consider, and that's the problem.
I'm just going where we went last year when we had that meeting down there, that's all.
I think that if that had been a possibility, and I don't know about that meeting, but if it had been a possibility, the idea would have been, the option would have been pursued.
It was the
In
same
more
meeting
depth.
that got you across the footbridge down below. It was that same meeting.
The footbridge that the select board didn't know about last time?
That's that one, yes.
Yeah, that was not legal. That was not legal, which is why we cannot endorse such a bridge.
Yeah, of course not.
Just to be
That's
clear.
not what Todd said. He said you can't endorse it, but you're pouring it anyway.
So I have one other update about the bridge, which is that Joni, I'm sorry, I forgot her last name, the owner of the Green River Bridge House, Seymour, called last Friday, very upset at the drilling, the jackhammering that was going on, very concerned about her well. I went out there in the afternoon, and Mark Wright, the resident engineer, and I went and talked with her about the situation and about her concerns, and she is happy that everything is resolved and that there's no more jackhammering and that her well is fine. So we just had to do a sort of visit, an on-site visit for that last week on Friday afternoon. I think that's it for the covered bridge right now. Dick Clark and Herb Myers are both here to give us an update on the Vigilant Guard. If you, Dick, if you'd like to talk about it, and then Herb, if you'd like to make some remarks.
Have you had a chance to look at the LEOP since the drill?
I have not looked at the LEOP.
Uh,
The LEOP is the Local Emergency Operations Plan.
I can't say this without sounding a little bit peeved, to say it at least. When you walked through the door, when Ron called you and you walked through the door, what do you think your first job should have been?
Ask Ron what he needed me to do.
You should have gone over. You had three things you could have done. You should have gone, Ron, where are we? I'll dig out the status board or I'll give an update. What did you do?
Sorry, this is not about me, Dick. This is
It
about...
is because I can read in here why it is about you. That's why I asked you if you had several things in here say, the highest rating town official, that would be you. Also, you are the EMD of the town, whether you know it or not.
I am not the EMD when we have an appointed EMD. If the EMD is not there, I am the EMD. That is
yes,
correct.
Yes. So I feel that the fact that you took notes and criticized everything that went on was a little bit beyond your purview, not being familiar with drills and how drills went. I think you should have shown more interest in helping Ron. It was Ron's first drill. I stood back there because I was a planner. I stood back there chewing on nails because of the stuff that wasn't happening, or I wasn't in a position to address it. I did poke Ron a couple times, but he tried to do notifications by email. He tried 3 times, email didn't work, and that's when I finally told him, that's when he called you. Email doesn't work. Herb and I, we worked together for a couple of years, that whichever one got there first did whatever, and the one that got there second, where are you, what can I do to help? It's part of the EMD Select Board Chair, part of the emergency management. Yes, I'm pressing you down because you didn't do what you should have done.
Well, okay, let's,
Because
Can we just, I'm
everybody
sorry,
first
before we
drill.
dress
Everybody
you down,
first
could
drill,
we give an update on the Vigilant Guard
Right.
exercise,
Well-
Dick, please?
why don't we, I think we all learned a lot from the exercise, but, you know, for this purpose, why don't we talk about what
Yeah.
went down in terms of, from my perspective, a lot of positive that went down too.
There was a lot of positives.
So,
A lot of
let's,
positives.
why don't we,
I would say that the brainstorming that went on about the roads and the bridges and all, that's very unusual in a drill, but it was good. It accomplished a lot.
Did we fix the wrinkle? Because, for example, I didn't get a call or an email. Were we able to sort of finesse that so that will
Well, that-
be fixed?
That's part of the what went terribly
Because like I
wrong.
wasn't there because I didn't get any.
Yeah, that's part of what went wrong. This
and that's, I don't think anyone's trying
I
to
know.
place fault.
I don't think
in
so.
it.
No, I
It's,
just-
it's, you, I'm looking in from the outside as a new guy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You two have been doing this a long time. You know how he thinks and he knows how you think
Yeah.
because you're comfortable with each other, and that's great for the town to have 2 people jump in the EOC in an emergency like Irene comes. You know, we all feel great about it. Now it's a new world because Herb's going to step back a little bit. You know, you're trying to step back a little bit for your sanity. You know, I mean, all these things. So I think we're all trying to, you know, and I read Sheila's report, and I personally, you know, I feel that Sheila, with the work of the people who came to assist us from HUD or who, you know, whatever their
Homeland Security.
Homeland Security and whatnot, you know, it was an exercise for us to learn from it. And I think we did. And I think what Sheila did is put together a document that basically spelled out some of the issues that came up. I don't think she was trying to throw anyone under the bus.
No,
So,
I'm not trying to do it in that sense.
Okay.
I'm just trying, we're bringing up what went wrong and what went right, and the participation of the select board is much more than and
but I don't think
everybody's new drill.
Right. I didn't. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I came because it was getting to be 10 o'clock and I hadn't heard anything. I knew this
Yeah.
drill was
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
so I said I'm going to pop
Yeah,
by.
the communication.
But so, you know,
You learned a lot though.
I think I did learn a lot, but I think, you know, part of the thing is that maybe each select board member, including the chair, has to sit down with this book and this manual, go through it, which frankly, you know, maybe I should have known all by myself, but I
So
did.
I had actually gone through the LEOP with Katie and with Ron before it was created, before it was submitted to the state. I've taken my ICS 100 and 200 courses, and I walked in there knowing that the incident commander, which was Ron, was supposed to assign responsibilities to people and tell them what to do. When it became clear that he wasn't going to delegate, then I stepped in and said, would you like me to do this? Would you like me to do this? Would you like me to do this? And in fact, Dick, I am the one who went up to the board and started writing down the different things because there was no visible briefing material or information so that anybody who walked into the command center, the emergency operations center, they should be able to see visibly what is going on and what the status is and where the resources are deployed. And so Katie and I talked about how to do this because we weren't getting direction, and I went up and started doing that. Katie started the status board. Katie got online and started the incident reporting. We were lucky that the two guys who are paid, they were to inject the incidents and to observe our performance. They came and they said after sometime in the middle of the afternoon, we need to step outside of our role, go beyond what we are authorized to do, and come into a coaching role, because otherwise this would be, you would fail this. And so they helped me understand what a situation report is, and I filed a situation report that day and the next day for Ron that had his approval before I submitted it. Ron was able to read it. And they gave us a lot of good pointers along the way, and then during the next 2 days. The report, this after action report, which was circulated to it was circulated to the select board recently, but before that it was circulated to Herb, Dick, I'm not quite finished, Dick, and for comment, and because there could have been errors and omissions, and it will be put up on the website in a while. It is an action report, but also an action plan, because we learned a lot about what we did well, what we need to do, how we need to have the Emergency Operations Center set up. And it is basically, the after action report is also an action plan for what we need to do, not just for this town to get out of an emergency, but to qualify for the maximum available state and federal funding, which we would not have been able to do had we proceeded as we were doing in this particular exercise. The response that I got from both planners, actually, one that I shared with people, is continue to do these formal reviews of all activations and exercise. This document is an important ingredient in justifications for action and funding. So one of the roles that I performed in my more than 20 hours there that weekend, Dick, was to take notes and to figure out what information we could use for going forward.
Yeah, but for your information, there are people delegated for PIO, there are people delegated for all that stuff. They weren't there.
That is correct, and we did not have alternates named to do that.
I think the mindset that everybody, and I like that mindset because I do it myself, but the minute the drill starts, everybody's going to drop what they're doing and go to the drill. In some cases, that's not possible, where one had a broken hip.
And we knew that well in advance. In fact, I had said to Ron the day before, our PIO is not going to be there, do you have a backup?
So, I mean, it's roles that there was enough people there to step in and fill some of that. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. And it was a learning process for everybody. And it was, she wasn't there, she was off working somewhere.
I didn't even know there's an emergency, that my bridge was down.
But you couldn't leave your job and come to a drill.
I don't know, maybe, I mean, on a
She wouldn't have
weekend.
been able to get there, the bridge was down.
That's what I heard.
And if you could have, we could have said, Gabby, answer the phone.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I wanted to understand is, do we need do we need to be evaluated at a certain level before we get our maximum funding? Is this time for our funding?
Herb, you can correct me on this.
so.
I think the evaluation does not determine our funding. It is how we
react in an
document,
actual
how we
emergency.
conduct ourselves in an emergency,
The only
the
thing-
documentation that we have and everything else. I'm sorry.
The only thing that would affect your funding is the personnel that you certify have had ICS 100 and 200. Because when you send in your LEOP after the town meeting, you certify that all appropriate people have had ICS 100 and 200.
Yeah.
And with that, and I have to think
Well,
about-
that's the beginning, but then there is an enormous amount of documentation that needs to be made
During
done
the-
during the
Yeah.
an emergency itself, which we learned a lot about that day.
About Monday,
Yeah.
which is what I had requested that we do. That's what we're supposed to do on
Yeah.
Monday, but that's why I wanted to do that. Just, you probably are not, and I brought this up when we had the pre-meeting,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure. Just, let me read these and you can see how you think you might have done. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 critical tasks that were supposed to be tested. The town of Guilford establishes and maintains an EOC for at least one operational period during a large-scale disaster in accordance with the standard operating procedures. The EOC provides regular updates, shares appropriate information, and initiates resource requests with the state EOC in accordance with the standard operating procedures during a catastrophic event. The town of Guilford responds to and mitigates infrastructure damage during and immediately following a large-scale disaster. Evaluate the critical functions needed to ensure continuity of essential government functions and provide a defined structure and decision-making process for recovery activities following a large-scale disaster. And coordinate with National Guard command and control elements to integrate National Guard assets in support of a local mass care, evacuation, shelter, commodity distribution, and human service operations. And that is not what we were going to do, that's what the state was going to do, and that's why, as you remember, the rescue operation and the involvement of rescue personnel were not something that we had injected, but that's what the state injected because they wanted to test that. So I wasn't there on the scene to see how you feel that would happen, but it seems to me that that happened. It may not have happened up to what we think is the standard, but I think it happened. If you look at the overall picture, no one would have lost their life because of something you didn't do. No personnel, no citizens would have had reason to find the town and fault in some instance like that. So for that reason, I would say that, hey, this was, okay. I would say that I threw you guys under the bus because you were all new, or I'd rather say I threw you in the mill pond and we could have spent better. But, you know, that's what it was for.
Yeah, I think it was a
Under the
great.
bus happens on Guilford Center Road.
We'll be there in a
But
minute. So Herb, maybe you could save those. I think when Ron gets back to town, I'm hoping we'll have a meeting to discuss how we go through these
Sure. I think that would be perfect.
remediation actions,
Do-
and that we should look at those questions as well.
Right, and do
So-
not forget that you need to continue supporting the use of the fire department to do drill.
Right,
'Cause
yeah.
you'll
Yeah,
no
we talked
longer-
about doing that on a quarterly basis.
Well,
Yeah.
you decide how often you have to do
Uh-huh.
it, but
I think the backup that you should have some tabletops.
yeah.
You're Rob.
And do that, and then put some sort of scenario out there and do a tabletop.
I
And
would-
then have a drill and
Yeah.
see, go from there. I don't, standing where I was, knowing what the plan was, I was chewing on nails, but, overall, it was a learning process.
So I would like to say thank you to Herb and Dick for all the time they put into planning this in advance of the exercise itself, to Ron for being there around the clock, to the fire department and all the volunteers that were there, to Kathy Wild who came and did the, what is it, Dick, that she did? Kathy Wild Clark.
Computer.
The disaster land, and to Gordon and Katie for coming and helping out. I'm sure I'm forgetting 73 people, but this was amazing. Chuck Mayotte, Dan Zambrowski, I'm sorry for being there.
Dan was
and holding my
there,
hand.
Dan was there for the food.
And to Chuck Mayotte for playing our victim.
Yes, Chuck.
And
So,
all the victims who went to the shelter.
to the shelter,
Yes.
yeah, the shelter ran really well, right?
Yes, they
And
did.
our actors.
Thank you.
It's just too bad the helicopter didn't show up. That would have been,
No.
That would have been a good plan.
Jared actually wanted to ride in that, but he was.
Moving forward, the August 22nd Select Board meeting, which is it the 22nd?
Well, that's the proposal. So our next select board meeting, I believe, is actually the 23rd, Monday.
No, it's the
No, it's on the
22nd.
22nd. So my proposal is that, because some of the concerns is relating to the Green River Covered Bridge, one of the thoughts was maybe to have a community outreach meeting at a certain point, given the change in the scope and timing of the Green River Covered Bridge project. So my thought was maybe to have a select board meeting on the other side of the bridge.
Where?
I would-
Addison Minot's barn?
I was going to propose my property as a show of sort of
Solidarity.
yes
Are you
and
gonna provide
sympathy.
transportation?
Talk to you.
Dude, don't talk back because I do that twice a day for 3 months
I'm
for
afraid
a
I'm
quarter
gonna
of the
be
year.
absent.
So no, you have to drive the
Gordon's
long
not
way.
It's not because of that. I hadn't told Katie I'm on vacation that from the 18th through the 24th, I think it is.
Yeah, and you really haven't talked to the guy with the badass truck, from what I understand.
That's so that was my proposal for discussion. Just
It's
to
fine with me. I think it's fair. Although, do you have to stop here on your way home
No.
on Monday
I
night?
go through Halifax.
I don't
I'm
believe
gonna recluse myself from conversation because I'm not gonna be there.
You got the easy out.
I'm really not.
So anyway, that was my proposal.
that would have to be posted sooner rather than later if we're gonna do that.
It's
It would.
5 days before the meeting. It can be posted. Yeah, we have time to do that if we want.
How about the person who covers the?
That it was a discussion about what about BCTV.
He
You
can
got-
maybe be enough water he can swim down.
Does somebody want to make a motion that we hold our meeting in Gabby's barn on August 22nd at 6:30 p.m.?
Or
Where's your
property
barn?
outside.
Where's your barn?
384 Gallup Road.
I know. I did a lot of work up there.
So either outside or in the barn, depending on the weather.
And the mosquitoes.
Did you make a motion?
I'm hearing a motion or not?
I'll make the motion. Let's have it at Gabby's house next Monday, next meeting on the 22nd.
Is there a second?
I second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye. And I'm gonna,
Abstain.
Did I hear an aye?
Where are you gonna be on vacation? Can I
Yeah.
go with you on vacation?
but I'm gonna say to the camera that it's 384 Gallup Road, and please bring chairs.
Right up by the picnic area.
It used to be the picnic area, actually.
Okay, so we will warn that meeting.
How do you get
Are
there?
you inviting us all to dinner?
Yeah, she's cooking. Yeah, you're cooking that night.
Cooking burgers?
So, to move on, because I know we have a few people here anxious to get out of here. In the July
We're done 20
25th, sorry, I can't remember which, the first meeting in July, the Vernon Planning Commission Subcommittee on Fiber Optics came and presented Vernon's efforts towards securing fiber optic service in the whole entire town. And they invited us to participate. Gordon and I agreed to go. Gordon wasn't able to make it. I went to their meeting on July 26th and sent around a report of that meeting to the select board. You've seen it or not, I don't know. Would you like Katie to make copies for you so that you know?
That would be good.
Okay. I don't want to go into much detail. There will be, just because Vernon themselves are in a sort of exploratory phase, and they're not ready quite yet to bring it to a recommendation to the town. It seems to make sense in a lot of different ways, but they're going to talk about how, what is it called, communication unit districts, which are 2 or more municipalities form a communication unit district, and then they have the authority to act in certain ways. And so it's a matter of how much does it cost, who might want it, where would we find the funding, do we want to do this, and we're still learning also. So basically,
my understanding that they want us on board to help them out more than help us out. I mean, let me rephrase that a little bit, but I mean, it's a big help to them if we get on board with it.
It might be mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Beneficial. I mean, I think the idea is if we join, then there's some sort of synergies that happen between the two communities, and in
On
the
the west
end,
side of town, I doubt it.
Yeah. No,
Down here,
actually-
I doubt it.
might be. I mean,
Yeah.
So actually, just
explore the options.
on the west, personal experience, I've just been out looking for property for some people from overseas in Guilford with them today, all day long. And I will tell you that one of the first things that came up is, what's the internet service like? Because this person would not be able to do business in Guilford. So, if we can, it's one of the things that's in the town plan, faster internet service throughout the town so that people who like to be in this kind of community but have their business or their livelihood is outside of this community, they can afford to live here and they can then contribute to the economy of this town. So that is, it's a benefit whether you're on the west side or, up in River Road, or River Road actually has FiOS already, I just found out. It doesn't take much to get it to your house, I think.
Yeah, actually, I know
Yeah.
there's some.
So anyway, the meeting on August 17th is going to be someplace in Vernon, I don't know where. Jeanette White is going to come, Mike Hebert might be there, and there will be more discussions about funding.
They're not available.
You're not,
That's when
I'll
I'm
be there
leaving
again,
on the
yeah.
17th.
I'll go. And these are three people who've really done a lot of research and a lot of work on that, and there's a lot of information to know. So I would
No, that's
welcome
good.
anybody who wants to come to that.
Thanks for going, Sheila.
You're welcome.
And I'm sorry, I'm gonna be out of town.
Any questions, anyone? Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the Algiers Fire District governance issues. Katie sent an email to everybody. Have you seen it? Dick, did you see it?
I saw one, I'm not sure it's the same.
So this was dated July 28th. She sent this email to us that she attended the meeting held by Steve Barrett, the Brattleboro DPW Director, and 3 members of the Prudential Committee, Mike Baker, Chair, Will Wonis, and Herb Meyer. There are issues cropping up with Brattleboro and Commonwealth Dairy, the Algiers Fire District's customer, for which Algiers Fire District is looking to Katie for support. They pay the town Algiers Fire District pays the town $670.05 a month for financial services, not for governance and not for administrative support. She was able years ago to give them the help, but that it was outside the scope of financial services. It was more in issues of governance and administration. She no longer has the time to do that, to provide secretarial or bookkeeping help to the Algiers Fire District. She would like guidance from the Select Board on how to proceed. And she reminded me that the Algiers Fire District had voted in a budget at their annual meeting, and there is money in that budget for an administrative assistant to do these kinds of tasks. And she is looking for some guidance on what to do. And I don't know if Herb, you want to comment on this?
Well, I'm thinking that the fire district can probably provide the funding for that help if that's what the select board.
It's in the budget.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, so what I think what the Select Board would agree with is that Katie's efforts are really directed towards work for the town, not for the fire district.
Yeah.
It's not in her job description, and the fact that she was able to do it some years ago doesn't mean that she should continue to do it now.
So you're saying that the fire district should hire someone?
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe they need to keep the town informed.
Yeah.
For, I think that makes sense. Maybe they should inform the town of what, I believe Commonwealth is using a lot more water than maybe 40% more than they are.
They are using more and they're applying for even more.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why that the state is going to have to update the pump station to provide the services for that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think Katie has
She's
a lot of
got
work
enough
on her plate.
Agreed.
And I think,
And that's its
unfortunately, we
own-
can't.
That's its
yeah.
own, totally different from the town.
Might not be time for the town to hire another person for, there seems to be things that keep cropping up that extra help is needed. Hire somebody on a part-time basis and be funded through.
Well, I think that this is not actually a town-related governance.
No, it's not, but the
So I
town-
think it's cleaner
It's separate, yeah.
that they hire their own administrator personally.
I agree with you. I think this is, if it was a town financial issue or a town governance issue, but it's not, it's Algiers Fire District. And
It's like its own special entity, so I think it's cleaner that they just do their own hiring and they have control over that and their pay and
Some of the financial stuff is done through the town.
we could ask Katie to,
Yes, all your finances of the fire district are handled through the town.
I think
Yeah.
Katie does the billing and the
It's more or less a bookkeeping.
bookkeeping,
entity.
but I
It's
think
a
she doesn't have the
journal entry.
capacity. Yeah, I don't think she has the capacity, is what she's saying, to actually do anything more. Unfortunately,
to be a more active participant in the prudential committee is what she's saying. And I think, Dick, if we wanted to discuss extra, more tasks that are coming on in town, that's a separate discussion from the Algiers Fire District. That if we are looking at employee work issues.
Well, yeah, I'm looking to the future, not so much as down.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can take this message and, well, I don't know whether you folks will email the fire district that you, well, are not.
We're not approving it because it's in
Yeah.
your budget. You all approved it. It's just time to act, I think, on doing something
But you're
like that.
saying that instead of paying Katie, you don't have time for Katie, we have to find our own.
I think
But you weren't
yeah.
paying, I don't.
You weren't paying Katie.
Katie.
Katie's providing the financial services.
Yeah.
You have money in there to deal with the administrative and the governance issues, if I understand that correctly. I could ask Katie to draft something that would describe more clearly what it is that
Needs to be done.
needs
Yeah,
to
I
be,
I think that the issue is that she can't add any more
Yeah,
tasks, so it seems like you have, I think the idea is if you have those funds to hire an administrator that we're telling you Katie actually can't fit it in, unfortunately.
Okay.
so two more things on discussions and updates. One is, I'm gonna move communications up to road up here. Is one of you Bob Davis?
Speaking.
So you called me
I
and
called
left a voicemail on my message, which I was gonna share in communications, but I will now move it up to discussion and updates. Would you like to share your voicemail with us instead of me?
Well, it's an ongoing thing that we've had about the speeding down on Center Road. And what put the frosting on the cake this past week was one, I work nights, I'm a correction officer, work nights. I come home from my shift after an hour and a half ride, get to my mailbox. Now I look from where the old DPW is, there's not a single car behind me. I get to the Grange, there's not a car behind me. So I give my signal, I pull in front of Sean's house, and I have my mailbox there. I no sooner open my door and somebody's hollering out the window, giving me the swear finger, okay, doing about 70 down our road, down that road, heading up the hill.
Same time every night?
Not every night, but it's a consistency of all day, pretty much, day and night. I mean, that's why the three of us are here, we're all neighbors.
Would you all introduce yourself? You're
I'm Bob Davis.
Sean Matthews.
John Matthew, we met you last week.
Tom Wagner.
Tom Wagner?
I brought a little show and tell object.
I
You might
I
not
saw
want to
it.
let the camera, if you got one of those little blur strips for the
I saw
naughty
that
words.
today. I saw that today. So you had so you put a sign up that said "Slow down."
It's
and-
been
Slow
out.
down. It's been out, and it
Yeah.
seems, it was working there for a little bit, but it got vandalized Saturday night.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
words that cannot be described
Yeah,
in
I
reading.
think
you
I
know.
don't think it's in. We need to share it.
Yeah.
I think people, if you've had it up on Guilford.
Yeah, it's
Selectboard
out there. It'll
Mtg.
stay out there until
Yeah.
somebody tells me to take it down, or, you know.
Part of that
Sir.
problem is, and I talked to Sean about it, is enforcement. Because the 35 and the 45 are right, boom, boom, boom. And
We did discuss this in
coming
great.
coming in,
Mhm.
if they move that sign up, and it's been in the plan for 2 or 3 years
Yeah,
now.
down in Cemetery Hill, somebody was gonna put the 35 mile per hour sign at Cemetery Hill Road, that's the road I live okay? Because they come off that out of the stage road and Sweet Pine, they're doing 50 with no problem at all, okay? They're coming down that straightaway, get into that little flat. Somebody is gonna get hit. You got kids in the library, you got kids in the historical society, and now with this playground at the Grange and stuff like this, kids are gonna get hit. And before, we gotta do something about this because it's getting real old and, you know, I've been almost hit numerous times in the 25 years I've lived there, okay? Sean and Tony can speak.
Once is
to it.
enough for me, you know, just, you know, tri-axle going 60 with an empty 24-foot air brake trailer.
How did
you
that
know.
35-mile-an-hour work the other day? Did that give you some?
Oh yeah, I don't need, I'm a smart enough human being to realize when the air coming off the vehicle, the sound of the engine, I know when somebody's going 40, I know when somebody's going 70. I said it before, there was even once, some guy was going over 90 miles an hour. Now, I see, I'm gonna steal some of your words, because you said you're the outsider, the new guy. I look at this committee, I see, you know, I don't know any of you, you guys are all good people, but I see a lot of like infighting in there, and that's a fact. I mean, I think if there's like a clear, concise plan and not a traffic study or, oh, well, we can lower the speed limit 5 miles an hour, you know, that's not really a solution. It's not a
So,
solution.
Dick, I will tell you that we discussed this at the last meeting, it's in the minutes. Danny was gonna look up and find some signs in Brattleboro, or see how much they cost to get some.
You know, you put up those
Traffic calming
signs
signs.
that say how fast you're going, what's the first thing you're gonna do if you're going 45 and a 35? You're gonna take your foot off the gas, put it on the brake, right?
Yeah.
And then what, when the sign goes away, what's gonna happen? They're just gonna keep doing it.
And who enforces
And do it.
radar in our town? Is it the sheriffs?
We
I have never, ever seen a radar trap at the Historical Society, the
Well,
Grange,
there's no enforcement, period.
no enforcement,
No, there
period.
was
of
8
the
hours
speed
a
limits.
month of traffic enforcement.
Who does?
8 hours a month.
Through Guilford?
Through
Through all of
Guilford,
Guilford.
Vermont, yes, Vermont
Wow.
State Police provides service.
We don't have the sheriff department.
There's no enforcement, so do the.
So there's no enforcement, so
No,
everybody.
the
just
state
speeds.
police.
So when
is
I
patrolling
when I
8
hear
hours.
somebody coming off Stage Road, which is often, that's going 50 plus miles an hour, I have to step out on the road and flag them down.
Yeah,
And
and I
inform
do too.
inform him politely, or her, that it's 35 through here.
Yeah,
It's
My wife does
my
it.
responsibility.
his wife does it,
It's my
we
responsibility.
do it all the time.
I don't have a badger, well, you
And I
know,
think the first thing to do would be move the signs up.
I mean, I don't see what the big.
Well, we have a road
problem is.
ordinance, we have to change the road
And
ordinance.
they have to change, for me to move that speed limit sign, they have to.
Yeah, we have to,
Can you guys please,
Hold on
like,
one
fast
second.
track it? I mean.
hang on, hang
No, you would feel differently, ma'am. If you stepped out of your house to step in your car to go to work,
I feel very
and there
concerned.
was literally less than a foot from your body, a vehicle going 60 plus miles an hour. And not just once, and not just twice, and not just 3 times. I mean, you understand,
I do, I watch
and
people
it's,
do
I
that.
hear it's just an ongoing thing, like, oh, well, we'll take a vote on it and create a subcommittee and a task force.
And it's funny
It's-
because
Nonsense.
over the weekend, I drove Weatherhead Hollow a few times. That state trooper that was there had pulled over. By the time I went down to a friend's, had a cookout. He had pulled 2 people over already, 2 out-of-staters, okay, and 2 Vermonters. On the way back to my house, you know, from where the fairgrounds are all the way to Cemetery Hill, he had pulled 2 more people over. Had, you know, and that's 4 people he had pulled over on that road. I have never ever seen somebody pulled over on Center Road
I mean, really,
doing, you know, and they probably did 40 miles an hour, or you know, whatever.
what's the protocol for
Sorry,
getting
hold on one
stuff?
second, please.
For getting stuff.
Can I just say, we did
established?
just change our contract. It used to be the sheriff till July 1. Now it's the state police. So I think it's good if you are seeing a state
Oh,
police
yeah,
presence. Now let
that's-
me,
Yeah, absolutely.
if
Hold on
you're,
a
if the sheriffs in the past, they have done reports that we review on a monthly basis. You're happy to look through them. There are reports that they were on Guilford Center Road patrolling. So I don't want you to feel like you were neglected.
Oh, they were at Houghton's. At Houghton's. They always set up radar at Houghton's, right there. The sheriff's
So one of
department.
the things that we can
You
do
know.
is ask, because the Vermont State Police asked us, what to focus on, and we can ask them to pay particular attention to this now and particularly through the beginning of the school year to see what's happening.
Back to the sign, what's gotta happen to make that sign move? Like, just kinda curious.
Katie was
Because I've
gonna,
heard rumors that it's been in the works for years.
I don't know about
2
that. I'm
years.
sorry.
2 years.
Really?
All right, I'll say I've never heard about
I
it
never heard,
before.
in 2 years
I've
of
never
sitting
heard
with the
about it
select
until
board, I
we
hadn't
talked
heard
the
about
other
it.
night.
We got, the ordinance, the traffic ordinance we're looking at, and we're gonna move 2 signs. The one by the Blueberry House, coming up to Bogart, and one up here, and the one up the cemetery.
Excuse me, everybody.
What's really, like, honest, don't, just shoot straight with us, what's
Matthew,
gonna happen?
Sean,
Like,
sorry.
what do you all have to do to make this happen?
We are
That was
just
elected
trying to
enforcer.
figure that out. Would you just
Okay.
hold on a moment,
Yeah,
please?
absolutely.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Dick, I'm sorry, because of all of this conversation and you, I did not hear, you were saying that about 2 years ago, this town.
About 2 years ago,
tried
we're
to-
looking at the traffic ordinance, we're gonna move 2 signs, this 35 signs up to Bogart's on Center Road, beyond this side of the Blueberry House because of the danger at Blueberry House.
Mhm.
And there again, you're coming down there 45 miles
Exactly,
an hour
yeah.
and you get to the Blueberry House, you gotta slow down, so that's the
Mhm.
same situation you got here. And you're gonna move that 35 there, up the road to the Hirsch House or above.
Okay,
So wait, so what happened with that? Because 3 of us were not on the select board at that time.
and we've never heard of this discussion. Dan, can you come? It never got done by the.
Okay.
Never got done.
I apologize, I'm just a little
Sorry.
concerned.
We get it, but it will be more
I don't
productive.
wanna lose a loved one.
Absolutely.
We get that.
I don't wanna walk out and get,
I'm
be
sorry, it will
roadkill.
be more productive if you allow us a minute to discuss this.
Okay.
Thank you. So one of the things, if we decide to change the ordinance and put 35-mile-an-hour speed limits in different locations, and then we want to enforce it, we have to have 35 miles an hour speed limit signs with every half mile down the road. I don't know how much a sign costs.
I'll buy them,
I'm sorry, would you please wait? Thank you.
just being honest.
We need signs from here down to beyond the Blueberry House, all the way down on the whole of Guilford Center Road if we want to do 45 miles an hour. So one thing is to change the speed limit to 35 miles an hour on the whole road, and then to figure out how many signs we need and how much it would cost, how long it would take us to get those signs. We need a couple of those. You're speeding, the speed limit here is 35 miles an hour and you're going 40 or 70. You were gonna find out how much those might cost us, Danny? Would you please report back to Katie by Monday of next week, if you can do that? Thank you. And could you also give her in numbers on the cost of signs and changing the signs?
Do you have signs in the garage?
I have, your 45 mile an hour speed limit starts way down here by the old town garage. It's 45 from there all the way down to,
Just beyond the Blueberry House?
yeah, you have warning signs that's around the bends for 35 miles. All those are just a warning, around the corners. And then it's 45, there's another 45 mile an hour speed limit sign down by the Hollow Bridge. And then there's another one just past the Hollow Bridge until you get down by the Blueberry House.
How would you feel about driving 35 miles an hour on Guilford Center Road?
I wouldn't. I drive between 40 and 45 and I'm comfortable doing that. I don't think 35 is necessary.
How about through Guilford Center here?
Guilford Center is 35 now and I think it should stay there, but I think that sign should be moved up so it can be enforced.
Moved up by State Road.
My state?
No, not by Stage Road, by cemetery, cemetery.
Oh, moved that one up, okay.
Yeah.
Is it 45 miles an hour down Stage and down,
No.
All your
Stage
dirt
is-
roads are marked.
All dirt roads are
35.
You're right, roads
So
are
for-
35.
For half a mile?
Road in the state of Vermont actually is 55 miles.
so why would you do 45 miles an hour from Stage to cemetery?
On the ones that are marked.
I don't know, but
It's
I mean,
just a
certainly
few
people
more
see-
signs you have to put up, that's all.
No, I
can move them signs, but I mean, I can move them.
You're talking about people speeding off one or the other of those two roads, Stage Road or Sweet Pond Road, right? And then they have 40, so does it make a difference if it's 45 miles before cemetery
think-
or at Stage Road?
I think,
Why would you give them another 100 yards to go 45 miles
I
an
think
hour?
we all ought to look at the speedometers when we're driving down the road, because I find it hard to come into the center the way it is to stay without braking pretty heavily from Cemetery
brake.
Hill down.
I break all the way down.
That's the
That's
point.
absolutely right. I
So
break.
if you put that sign up,
Sorry,
So they
excuse
see
me?
the sign.
Yes.
100 feet,
That
yeah.
35 mile an hour sign now is right at his
his
house.
house.
Okay, so they're going 45 right to his house.
As soon as they see that sign.
The minute they
they're
see that
stepping.
sign, it's like, oh yeah, they back off. Some of them do.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you catch it up near Cemetery Hill and say 35 all the way down the straightaway, they use that as a racetrack. You can hear them at
Just-
Is it
12
the
o'clock at
same
night.
people doing it all the
It
time?
pretty much.
Pretty much.
So you know who
We have an
I-
idea.
I have been working at the house for the past 2 weeks, and I'm pretty observant, just like I observe
Okay.
everybody. I can tell you if they were driving by, I could point them out. You know, I'm not smart enough to take down plates because, let's face it, I have a life too, and I can use my eyes and my ears and observe.
But there's a pattern.
There's an
always a
absolute
pattern.
pattern. And those are the people that, like I said, I step out in the road and I flag my hand.
No.
And should I? Probably not. But do I? Absolutely. Why? Concerned for safety.
So can I ask a quick question? What I'm hearing from you guys is that if we move this one sign to Cemetery Hill, no traffic study, you'd be happy?
Well, it's gonna be
You've
enforced.
done traffic
Yeah.
studies.
Well, I mean, no,
Enforce
I
the
mean,
law.
that's,
Yeah.
no, I just want to hear, what
A
are you guys
traffic study,
asking
talk to
for?
me about a traffic study because I can tell you.
Yeah.
6 out of 10
We
vehicles,
act-
6 out of 10 vehicles, 6 out of 10 vehicles are going too fast.
So,
Above posted speed.
so what do you, what action do you want us to take?
Enforce it, radar, do
Move.
something to
Move sign,
move signs
enforce.
if that happens.
Because what happens, it's like the Wild West. Like
So-
the Wild
They
West.
just
So if we
fly.
agree to move a sign and talk to the state police about better enforcement, that would make you guys happy?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And not, no, not talk to the state police, actually have them do something.
Well, that's what I mean by that. I can't make
Yeah.
them do anything,
Well,
but I
yeah.
can ask
But
them
put the word
about.
in and say, hey, we're having issues, a lot of people are complaining, it's a huge safety issue. I'm
That- I mean,
certain
that
the
we can do.
reformer isn't gonna read pedestrian killed on Guilford Center Road, you guys, nobody wants to see
Did
that.
you put your article in the paper?
So,
Have you yet?
I haven't yet, I've been refraining, I don't wanna,
That would be,
you know.
I think that would be a good step for an
Right.
article, both the
So I-
reformer and the.
so I think I'd like to make the motion then to look into moving the sign and I request and put it on next meeting's agenda so that we have follow through and you guys don't feel like we're ignoring you. But to look into what that entails and
It's just,
So
it's
make a
just a
motion
public
to-
safety thing.
to make a
you know?
motion to do
I don't
that
wanna see anybody,
next meeting,
you know.
as well as for Sheila to speak to the state police and express our concerns and request enforcement in this area.
Would
Second.
you also, I'm sorry, add to that we need to amend the traffic ordinance because it is very clear on where we can have signs
And amend the
And-
traffic ordinance as
and
needed.
to ensure that all of this is legal that we're doing.
Yes.
Right, of course.
To back up to that sign, when I went around with Sarah, was it 2 years ago, Dan? I said, that sign there, meaning that one, and that one down by Brewer House, was gonna be moved. She said I have to go back and re-GPS them when they move. But, so it's been moved.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Second.
I will second,
Just
basically.
1 second, please. Sorry, you had another
I
comment?
just had one question on that. When we had the sheriff's department here, they used to put out those little radar things that you're going 35. They used to put that at the Grange or in right across where the Historical Society is. If I remember right, they have a digital printout of how many cars go by. Is that your traffic study that you were talking about?
No,
That wasn't your traffic,
no,
but,
we,
but it,
Wyndham Regional Commission,
Same thing. They put the sign out and it gets,
and it gives you a digital read on how many cars went by it.
and it's amazing how those reports come out that, the overall traffic, the average traffic is going a lot slower than you think it is.
It's true.
Yeah,
But it seems to me that you don't want the signs there, you don't want it, to wait the time of a traffic study, so.
Well, put the signs there, but honestly, what do you do when you see one of those signs? I know what I do. I take my foot off the gas. I might be going a few miles an hour over the speed limit, yeah, I admit it, and I take my foot off the gas.
Right, but you said they're not gonna be effective, so you were
Right.
sort of dissuading us from
Yes.
actually doing
Oh,
that.
absolutely. I mean, it's gonna cost money. It's gonna cost time to get them out there. All this stuff And it's just,
Okay, so you'd be happy with moving the signs
yeah, absolutely.
and
And
enforcement.
enforcing it.
Okay.
Let's see where it
That's-
goes.
I
Yeah.
just want to say
Yeah.
that Green River has a 25-mile-an-hour zone, and it's much less
You ever see anybody do
Congested.
25 through there?
than here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
I think.
I think 30 is a more appropriate speed limit when you think that their enforcement is always at least 5 miles an hour.
Right.
Well, it's not,
Right.
it's 15 according to the sheriff's department.
Well, they're
So-
not actually enforcing for our town anymore, so I don't think we can go by that.
Well, it's just a-
So
Have you
hopefully,
ever received a speeding ticket for 3 miles over?
I don't speed, so you're asking the wrong person actually. But so I think we can make.
yes.
I think we've done all we can do.
All in favor of, I'm going to say this again, moving the signs
Moving the signs
to Cemetery
to
and
Cemetery Hill
and
Road,
before Blueberry House.
adjusting the ordinance as necessary, confirming that our
What we're
proposed
trying to do is
legal
legal.
signage is legal, and to speak to the state
Vermont
troopers
State Troopers,
and
please.
express our concerns and need for enforcement.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
You're
welcome.
welcome, thank you for coming forward. and
I
talking.
tell you what,
I tell you what,
Concerned.
why don't you do this? If you see those cars speeding like that,
Yeah.
just give a description.
I've given plate numbers to people, and you know what that's got?
Who have you given them to?
I don't name names, I don't name names.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
But
sheriff's
they're-
department got them from me.
They're
Sorry, we're
official-
done.
They're
Troy.
official people, you know?
Danny,
You guys later.
take care.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's gonna be a home run one of these days.
The next item on the agenda, I have one other item for the update, which is that Gordon will be away next week. I will be away the 2 September meetings. And Troy is aware of that and has agreed to chair in my absence. Thank you, Troy.
Truly?
Oh, it's gonna be some quick freaking meetings, trust me.
Danny, do we have a highway update?
Yeah, a new man started today.
Yay!
They took him out on a little tour.
You didn't take us.
So we just, the two of us went around and he didn't realize there was so many roads in the town of Guilford. And we didn't even get 3/4 of the town. So,
I didn't see you.
other than that, we're just cutting and mowing and doing some grading and cleaning culverts and about it.
So I would like to say one thing, that Sunday afternoon, I got a message from her saying that somebody had reported a tree down. And I think it was about 20 minutes later that I got in touch with Danny, who was golfing, who said he'd see if he could find somebody. And 7 minutes later, Danny said to me, it's taken care of. And this is a Sunday afternoon, and thank you very much.
And actually, it was taken care of about
Before
an
you-
hour before you called me.
Oh,
And about an hour before Sheila called.
So we have,
The state police, when they call, if they can't get a hold of me, they have a call list. It goes right down the line, it goes to Alan, Dicky, Pete. So now we have a new guy, so I'll be adding him to that, so. A lot of times, you know, when somebody will see a tree down, they'll call. If they can't get a hold of us, then they'll go right down the line calling people.
so much appreciated.
Oh, no problem.
I don't think there are any excess weight permits tonight.
I didn't see any this week.
Yeah. Okay, finances. The next thing on the agenda is a request, we have a memo dated August 8th to request a transfer of funds from Fund 010 Annual Highway Surplus in the amount of approximately $23,494. These are to cover the change order number 2 for the Green River Covered Bridge. Katie states that this increase in scope will cause the length of our contract with Wright Construction to be extended by 3 weeks. This will also add time to the contract of our construction engineer, DuBois & King. While I do not yet know the extent of all the added costs, I can tell you that I had built a healthy contingency into my projected project budget, but it will now be exhausted. So we are hoping that there is no more
No more surprises?
surprises on that bridge. It's pretty well taken apart.
I was
so
gonna say, it's pretty
I
bare.
don't know what you
so
could
I'm
find.
hoping.
If I live to be 141, I'm gonna fall apart too.
So Katie is requesting the authorization to transfer the additional funds needed for this project, recommending that we take them from Fund 010, Annual Surplus Highway, and moving it to Fund 410, Green River Covered Bridge, TA Program Fund, the fund through which this project is being run. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I was gonna
Did
ask
you have a
is
question
that-
before we took a vote?
Yes. Is that out of the bridge fund per se?
It's out of the highway surplus, the annual surplus.
Oh,
fund.
surplus,
Right.
okay, not the bridge fund, okay. All right, yeah. Yes.
Warrants,
I'd like to make the following motion to pay the following warrant and payroll. Warrant number 1703 in the amount of $117,870.37. Payroll for the week ending July 31st, 2016 in the amount of $6,927.08. Payroll for the week ending August 7th, 2016 in the amount of $6,780.24 for a grand total of $131,577.69. The big ticket items on the warrant was for Wright Construction, $86,355.86 for the bridge repair. Our annual audit for $3,500. Gravel and Serpac for the highway in the amount of $7,854. And for the reappraisal in the amount of $3,500.
Second.
Aye.
any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is communications. I received again this year an email from the regional director working for the nonprofit agency that coordinates foreign exchange students. There are 2 Chinese boys, a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, both of whom sound really wonderful. They are looking for housing from August for 10 months. These students have appropriate visas, medical insurance, and pay for all of their own expenses, with the exception of food and utilities. A family, and so she's looking for families in Guilford for these students. And so I said to her that I would share that at this meeting, and it will be on the TV. This second item is there is a town health officers workshop in Lake Maury. Richard Davis is going to that. It's September 10th. We have the passive report, that's the insurance, with a detailed loss report for the municipality, which I struggled to understand today, and if Katie was here, she would probably be able to. I mean, I looked through, it doesn't look like it's significant. There are claims of different things. Totals for highway were legal and medical less than $2,000. Totals for general and that's an old one.
Yeah.
That's from 2011.
Right. But that's the only thing.
Yeah, there was a significant loss in 2011, embezzlement of $80,000.
That's through the Algiers Fire District.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
That's what
done.
I assumed. Yeah.
So this is a running report, I think. So I think that is it. I don't think there's a need for an executive session. Is there anything else that anybody would like to discuss?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.